What's up, you guys? Sean Rossap and Raj Giri here, WrestlingInc.com, Wrestling Inc. podcast, here with a very special guest, Teddy Hart. How you doing?
I'm doing excellent, guys. I really appreciate being on this podcast. It meant a lot to me. We've worked a little while to finally make this happen, so very excited to get it done.
Now, you're a busy guy. You're not working the indie scene as prominently as you used to be, but you've got a ton of stuff going on. I understand you've got like 2 schools going on right now.
Yeah, God's blessed me with the ability to train kids and to do these boot camps. And one of the things with training kids is kids get older and they grow up. So now I have a lot of kids that are out there that have been successful in wrestling, and trying to get the same thing happening with this new group of guys. So reopened my school for kids in Los Angeles, UIPW. That's with Andre, and that's with Kerry and Steve Payne. Brian Cage is going to be making some guest appearances there. We're trying to bring in guys like Morrison. They also live there. It'll be an extensive school for polishing, harnesses, gymnastics training, a lot of martial arts, catch wrestling stuff. Working on spots. We got 2 projectors right up against the walls, so we get stuff right off YouTube, and then we try to get the guys to watch and then copy stuff right off the screen right to the ring. So there's no lag time where guys are remembering 9 things they watched on a video, and by the time they get to the ring, they only remember 3 or 4 of them. They don't remember the sequence because they don't know how the guy's wrist was turned, because they're not fast-forwarding and rewinding it because they don't have access to a TV screen that's right beside the ring. Those are accessories that we're going to build into the school. It helps the guys get a leg up. It's basically just a school to give guys that are really serious about wrestling, and I've talked about this in 1,000 promos, that want to feel that rush, that vibe of 5 to 10 or 20,000 people in a building, that ecstasy, that feeling of excitement, adrenaline, making people happy. Rich people, poor people, 9 to 5 people, the kings of the earth. Anyone can be entertained with professional wrestling. Will Ospreay and Ricochet are a prime example of that. You don't have to be a wrestling fan to appreciate athletics and gravity and risk and reward. And the reward still for a baseball player to hit a home run is millions and millions of dollars. And I don't know the last wrestler that was as good as Ricochet that made $1 million, because I don't think there's ever been one that good. And I don't think Ricochet makes $1 million yet. But if I could, and this is something maybe people will be hot about, if I could pay Alex Rodriguez $30 million, Ricochet should be getting around $20 million for entertaining the world the way he does. And a bunch of other wrestlers should be taking note on how much basketball players, football players, hockey players, soccer players make, and how little professional wrestlers make for how much they actually give. And that's something I'll complain about later. But hats off to the guys that are breaking their neck and risking their lives and changing the way wrestling's looked at. I can brag about wrestling in a bar, in jail, to a lawyer, to a doctor, to a stockbroker, and tell them to watch stuff on YouTube, and they do, and they come back with a look of satisfaction on their faces. Time wasn't wasted.
Hey, Teddy, it's Raj. A lot of people, everyone knows you're a member of the esteemed Hart family, which is gigantic. Can you let people know exactly how you're related to Bret and Natalia and Davey Boy?
No problem. Yeah, it's my mother is Bret Hart's sister. So my dad married into the Hart family, and my original name is Edward Annis, obviously, and then I worked for about a year as Edward Annis, and then after that they gave me the Hart name to use, which has already been, like I say, talked about in other things, but a lot of people don't really know where or how I was related. So it's my mom's brothers, Bret and Owen, and her sister Diana married Davey Boy, and Bret's wife, Julie, was Dynamite Kid's, her sister was Dynamite Kid's wife. So that's how Dynamite got into that group of being related to the Harts, because he was related through marriage through Bret's wife's sister. So we consider Dynamite an uncle too, and sort of like Chris Benoit was also an uncle. I wouldn't go as far as saying like Lance Storm or Chris Jericho were considered like family uncles, but they helped the Hart name dramatically with the school. So those guys kind of fall under the banner of being part of the family. But Brian Pillman was there a lot. He was kind of part of the family. That's why when the Hart Foundation went down, when it was there, he was a member. And Honky Tonk Man was also another guy that was like around a lot at the time and was very close with Bret and the family, but no actual relation. Roddy Piper, same thing. I believe Roddy Piper had a second cousin on the Tomb side, maybe in Saskatchewan or something like that, was related to the Harts. They did some Google ancestry or family tree stuff, and I think it came back that they were like distant relatives also. But basically, it's just I'm the oldest grandson of Stu Hart. And that was a big title for me, and it was huge shoes to fill. And the pressure never stops. It just gets probably more and more, and more accountability on you've wasted a lot of time in the past, or God didn't want it to happen, or the world wasn't ready for it, or I wasn't ready, or whatever excuse or reason or shit happens, and circumstances are circumstances. All I can do is look at what I have now and look at where I'm going to be in the future, and use the Hart name for what it was good for. And that's something Bret, got my faults with Bret on a couple things, but I can never take away the hard work and the integrity that Bret Hart, the character, the man outside the ring's a different guy, and that's basically between me and him to talk about on a street level or one-on-one at a meeting, family dinner type of thing. But I would go to the fact that he worked so hard, so did Owen, so did my grandfather, to create a name of trust and reliability that fans could bank on, like the Von Erichs back in the day, or like the McMahons are considered the greatest wrestling family for booking matches and promoting, because they truly are. And I think the Harts would be, if not the best family for training and finding talent, they're definitely top 3. So to me, again, is redoing what my grandfather and Bret Hart did, and Dynamite Kid and Davey Boy, which is creating a wrestling style that no one is really doing. Also finding a lot of other guys that can mimic or duplicate or be better than the guys that came in the past, which is really hard to do considering some of the guys that came. You know, Bret was called the excellence of execution for a reason. Try having Jack Evans, Tyson Kidd, Harry Smith, Natalia, myself go up there and do more than Bret did. Very difficult. But it has been done, and it hasn't been noted or respected as much because Bret wasn't there to put the shine on it. So, again, it would go back to, like, being a Hart, the pressure, and also the relativity of being Bret's nephew, but really not getting Bret's push. And maybe something Bret could give me in the future would be a shout-out or a push. I'm going to be seeing Bret this weekend in New York, and hopefully we'll talk and have a beer or smoke a cigar or something like that, and try to become closer family members, because we're really not that close, Bret and I. And due to some of my own shit, and just due to Bret being one of the busiest wrestlers in the world before that, he never missed a show, guys. You got to understand that type of reliability and love and passion for the business.
Now, I mean, you were involved in a little controversy, I'll say. I think it was December 2014. You were wanted on multiple sexual assault charges, but I understand that's been thrown out. Is that true?
I beat all the charges. As I said from the start, this was over a reality TV show gone wrong. My wife and girlfriend are very good people and understanding of their frustration. They'd invested a lot of money, over $100,000 of money, on trying to make this show fun and a nice house and some nice vehicles, kind of all props. So when people saw the Teddy Hart lifestyle, it wasn't the guy living in a tractor trailer type of thing, broke as a typical indie wrestler. It was another, a successful guy that no one really knew what I'd done or how I'd made my money. And the girls were the ones helping me and sponsoring me. My dad's independently wealthy, but his business was in Calgary, not in Edmonton. And I'd moved up to Edmonton to get married and to slow my career down with wrestling and to get into other things like cat breeding and potentially an internet video game, some different things with designing a new wrestling ring, clothing line, stuff where I could make money. And then when I went back to wrestling, being a Hart always has a lot of hits, so you have a lot of name. But if you got nothing to sell to people and you're not doing anything really creative in the ring, you're just using Bret's name to get something. I didn't want to be one of those guys using my uncle's name to get something. So it was create, I guess, a really cool-looking house and an image that no one in wrestling had, and that was extremely expensive. I put probably $100,000 of my own money in. My wife and girlfriend put a lot of money, at least $100,000 of their money in, I would say, over the year and a half or 2 years, for cat food and for perks for the car, for the mortgage of our house, for trips we take so we could fly the cameramen with us, or we would have them not have to pay for a lot, because you don't want to discourage the camera guys who are trying to do the reality show. What you want to do is just basically give them a reassurance that you have enough money in your real life to make it entertaining for them to film. So they agreed, based on our budget, that a lot of this money would be recouped once the TV deal signed. And we signed a deal with Discovery Channel, and it was looking really good. But one of the girls had, I guess, a criminal record based on a couple things, and they didn't want her on the TV show after she'd put all the money in. And they said her character wouldn't be used, and she felt like she was lied to or cut out, and it caused some confusion. And the way they could get their money back was charging me with sexual assault. It was almost a slap in my face, because I have been taking, and this is another thing in podcast, I've been taking prescription testosterone replacement since I was 29 years old. I have a very low sex drive. So wasn't something that I do a lot, is have sex at all, let alone be aggressive. I'm like a fixed cat. So it was more a slap in the face for probably not being more sexual or more, I guess, like a man or whatever the rule would be, being aggressive with them. I let the kind of the live and let live policy where my wife was an escort at the time, and she was doing whatever she wanted to, and the other girl had worked for Playboy, and she was working different businesses with massage and stuff, and they weren't just with me, they were with other guys. So I had no relationship more than a friendship, financial help relationship. Even though it was my wife, it was a swingers relationship. I thought it would be solved without going to court. They would get some money and be paid out, and they didn't think so. They wanted to go to court, and they wanted to smear my name, and it cost me the reality show. And ended up costing me a very big deal with Discovery Channel. And now Bravo has picked up potentially. Right now, it's just a beginning deal, but Bravo is looking at doing I guess like a documentary or like a series on the trials and tribulations of my life, all the way up to the acquittal, and then my comeback, which is supposed to go to Mexico, back to AAA, and then Rolling Stones magazine was nice enough to get involved, and they said as long as you get an acquittal and you're innocent and we can prove it, then we'll give you a second article, because the first one is kind of a smear. It was something that Rolling Stones took what Teddy Hart's image on the internet was, which isn't really the Teddy Hart image to the rest of the world, and it was a lot of old information, stuff that people had been talking about like 8 years ago, 9 years ago, 7 years ago. I really hadn't had a lot of wrestling problems or interaction with American fans because I'd been in Mexico for a long time. So he kind of went on old information and a bunch of old stuff about me missing shows or being controversial or something with a Don Tony radio who's completely irrelevant. I never met the guy, never talked to the guy. He shouldn't have his name in Rolling Stones magazine based on knocking me. But all these people get free publicity, free hits, and a free rub from my name going through the sewer. And all I ask is if you're going to put my name through the shitter, do the due diligence to find out after if it's true. And if it's true, then keep writing about it. And if it's not true, then give me the same respect back that you put me on blast for something that wasn't true. Give me the respect back of saying that it didn't happen. And I beat the charges hands down. It never went past the preliminary trial. And I have a 1 year, I guess, ban on talking to them. And after that, I hope we can become friends again. I still respect both ladies. It's just when money's involved and fame and money and pressure like that, it causes people to think differently. And I was surprised with what they did to me, but it didn't work. They call me the Teflon Don for a reason. It's very hard to get something to stick to me. I live my life a certain way. I may be controversial with certain things, but I'm also very smart. I pay taxes. I had a business. I've had a business for years, and I've never been charged. I've never been convicted of any crime in my life. So I hope that goes to say something, because, you know.
Right. Well. Congrats on beating those charges. Are you currently? How often are you currently wrestling? Because I know you were wrestling for a bit in AAA. Are you there right now?
No, I took some time off AAA until Conan and Dorian. I thought we're going to figure out a compromise on what they were doing. And I don't like talking about their business because I don't know about it. But as of right now, Conan is not working for AAA. He was my liaison. He's always been a friend of mine outside the business and a confidant and a mentor, giving me advice and trying to represent me for certain things. And sometimes I'm a headache and hard to deal with, and sometimes I'm really good to deal with. And I think for the last couple of years I've been really good to deal with. I just haven't had a chance to get I would see the ball rolling with Dorian's mom and with Dorian himself. And now that Conan's gone, I got a couple emails from Dorian and from I guess the people that are helping him out. I guess I don't want to say their names. Just because they're talent scout people, and they came up to me and they found me and said that there's an interest in going back to AAA. They'd love to have me go back. It was my family, and I was successful there before, and I'd like to go back and try to do that, and then try to get to Lucha Underground. Vampiro is always a big fan of mine. I thought he's done a phenomenal job with commentary. Matt Stryker, another guy, has always been fair and a friend of mine. I have a lot of other friends in there, from like Morrison to Jack Evans to Ricochet to Brian Cage to Willie Mack. The list goes on. A lot of really cool guys. I just met Matanza. I think his name is I forget his real name. I think it's Jeff Cobb, but phenomenal. And I just worked a show with them, the Chic Show in Los Angeles, and that was another controversial show because my airplane didn't land on time. We had mechanical errors. I never got there till right before the show was over. So my name, again, he didn't know if it was a work or if I was trying to rib him or if it was an accident. I had to prove everything along the lines of having a name of the stewardess that was on the flight. So when we're on the ground, if you could explain the mechanical errors, because she was willing to give her phone number to explain to my boss. Because these promoters are so sick and tired of hearing excuses out of wrestlers, and then wrestlers are trying to get money for a deposit or money for pay for shows they didn't even show up for. So I assured the guy just that I would get to the show anyway, even though the show was over. I got to the show, and it was over, really close to being over. But I got to meet a lot of those guys, again, that were in Lucha Underground, and everybody seemed very happy and cool with me trying to come back. I talk to guys all the time about doing shows in Canada. I'm trying to run my own promotion again in Canada, but with the charges finally being gone, now I can. Before that, it was really with handcuffs on. Who wants to hire or work with potentially a guy that did those things? And again, but if I didn't do those things, again, now all these people that were receptive but understanding, but not stupid enough to work with me until they were either at a verdict of yes or no, now we're all on board. So my future's looking fantastic. And that's like the thing with you guys is that my life has been so chaotic. This last couple of years has been insane, and my life's been on the line, and it's the law involved. It's not a joke. I had to be really careful not to get caught in something or not to have what I thought I worked very hard to create a controversial name of truth. You might not like what I have to say, but you value it as truth. I'm not lying or telling you some horseshit story to try to get over on you. I mean, if anything, embarrassing myself, risking public opinion in a bad way to make sure you guys get it how it was, to tell you the truth. You know, and that's, I go back to the CM Punk thing. CM Punk's a multimillionaire, tough as nails, but he didn't beat me up on a street fight. And if he wanted to have a fight now, I would love to say to the world, if CM Punk's having trouble getting a fight for MMA, because it's not fair, because he hasn't trained MMA for the same amount of time as all those other guys. Wrestler versus wrestler would be an awesome way to have an MMA match for the first time involving two guys, like a CM Punk versus a Teddy Hart. And it gives CM Punk an opportunity to redeem himself from a loss that he had years ago that he never talked about once. If I lost a fight, I lost the fight. I would say I lost the fight. I never heard him one time say, you know what, Teddy Hart got the best of me. I slapped him in the face first, and he got me down, and I never heard it. And I always wanted to know, in my eyes, is it a way of making us a friendship, but also making money on our fact that we had a fight? And that's where it goes to the truth. I never went on the internet and said I like CM Punk until I really liked CM Punk. I watched the guy work for 6 years in WWE. He did a schedule that no one else could do. He cut the best promos. He had the best matches. So you don't hear me say CM Punk's the man in TNA because he wasn't. But CM Punk's the fucking man in WWE because he was. And that's where, if you're going to give a compliment to John Cena, it's because John Cena had a fantastic match with Shawn Michaels, or John Cena had a fantastic match with this guy, or Tyler Black and John Cena was amazing. But for me to say The Rock and John Cena was an awesome match because I hope The Rock puts me in a movie someday, that would kill my credibility, and that wouldn't be controversial anymore because the truth is controversial, because the truth sometimes hurts people's opinion of where they are or where they're at. But instead of getting a compliment like The Rock's the greatest athlete to ever come into wrestling, and he's made more money for us through cross-marketing than anybody else, and I kiss his ass and thank him for everything he's ever done for the business. But do I think he's a better wrestler than Prince Puma? Not a fucking chance. Yeah. And that's where I go, and I hope you guys understand where the truth is the truth, because you got to ask a question where I can actually give you the truth, but give me 5 minutes after to understand this is why I said it, and this is where I think now, because the truth sometimes changes over a while. Sometimes you go from thinking a guy's a great guy to getting to know him more, and he's a piece of shit. And I'd like to be able to say that, this guy, I worked over 5 years with him, and he was awesome for 5 years. A year after that, he becomes a big star. He never called me back one time. He's a piece of shit. His attitude changed. He's got a big head. That's just an example I'm saying. And if I don't say that and people call me and they catch me in the future saying, all you say is every guy's a good guy now. Every guy's a good guy. Every guy's a good guy. You just say the same generic shit. You're just an ass kisser. I don't think too many people need to hear me kiss a bunch of guys' asses. But at the same time, if a compliment's due, be man enough to give a guy some credit where it's due. And that goes for me, and it goes for me giving other people credit. So CM Punk I give huge credit to because I beat him up and knocked him down and talked shit about him before, but I never got a chance to say thank you for all he's done for the business, and I hope he gets a fight in MMA, and if he can't find a fight, please, I hope somebody calls me and says, you know what, CM Punk versus Teddy Hart in a UFC ring would be a great moneymaker for Dana White.
So what caused the fight with CM Punk?
We had an altercation over doing too many moves in Ring of Honor, and he was ballsy enough to come up to me and ask me to step outside, and he threw the first slap or punch, and it ended up causing me and him to be kind of friends down the road, and I think it changed the course of his life, where he got to really do something with his abilities and his talents, which I was unaware of he was that good or that talented until he moved into WWE, and that was after he got fired from TNA for a fist fight he had with me. So he doesn't have to like me, but I think he'll definitely say it changed the course of his life. The path he took was definitely changed because of his meeting with Teddy Hart.
I think for the better. So the rumors of him winning that fight are not true.
You can ask the 5 people that were there. Jack Evans was there. Sabu was there. Hotshot Johnny Devine was there. I think Petey Williams was there. Chris Sabin was there. Not one of those guys I've ever heard say anything but it was a squash. It wasn't even close, and I hope after a year of MMA training that CM Punk would kick my ass in a fight. But at least I'd take the fight. And I'm tough enough to go a couple rounds with, I would think, almost any guy in the UFC. I don't think I'd win a fight against any of them, but I think I could go a round or two. And I'd probably get knocked out or tapped out in the 3rd round because of cardio.
So,
but, I mean, that's my opinion of it. Again, those are the guys I respect the most on the planet besides skateboarders and breakdancer type of guys.
Sure.
Those are just unforgiving sports, right? It's
right.
No give on your body in MMA. There's no give on your body in skateboarding or BMXing. Any X Games sport, basically, I give full credit to, plus MMA. Those are the hardest sports in the world. And wrestling's so hard, but they're still a little bit harder than what wrestling is. I have to put them over.
So to clear the air, how would you say the fight with CM Punk went down?
He walked up, he slapped me across the face. We went outside. Prior to this slap, I went to shake his hand. He slapped me across the face. And before that, he got hit a couple times and taken down. And I told Jericho I tried to do a move to him, which maybe would have been considered really bad to do in a street fight. But I have a lot to lose if someone wants to call me outside and I want to make an impact in a good way if I have a fight. So no one ever fights me again, because you don't want to be fighting at 190 pounds at 5'10" or 5'11", 190 pounds. You don't want to be fighting a bunch of people in the wrestling world. A lot of dangerous big guys. So if you can make it look like you're tough or do something that causes no one else to want to fight you ever again, I tried to do that type of move. And Sabu is smart enough. He knows I'm a martial arts guy and self-defense guy. So I went to my natural instincts and eye gouging and like hair pulling and ear pulling and nose grabbing and fucking fish hooking or whatever, kicking in the balls or shins. Like all that's open in a street fight, guys. I trained Krav Maga, so there's no rules. And it was just a move I used, I guess, that would have been probably not good for anyone to ever do to me. And for me to do to someone else could be really bad and dangerous. And Sabu broke it up before it got too serious. And we went our separate ways. And it turns out later CM Punk's a 5-time world champion. And I'm a broke, almost charged for rape and a bunch of other shit trying to get his life together. Sounding like probably a guy with sour milk or spilt, whatever, sour grapes, which I don't want to sound like. CM Punk's the man. CM Punk's the man, dude. I just hope he gets a fight in MMA. If he doesn't, please come find me. And that's my shout-out to him as a respect and as a moneymaker. There should be some money made, and I'm one of those guys that can make money with you. And I still call it like it is. So you guys have enough power in the wrestling world or in the media world to say, you know what, it makes sense. The only guy that he called out in wrestling was Teddy Hart. And Teddy Hart's got big balls, and he's known to be controversial. And if you add up my name and my hits, I bet I get the same amount of people that watch Brock Lesnar fight Frank Mir, watch CM Punk fight Teddy Hart. People think I'm talking shit. It's like, well, then put it together and watch how many people in Canada bought the tickets to watch George St. Pierre. And think about it. He was the only Canadian we had. But for that time, Canadian pay-per-view was huge, and George St. Pierre was a big star worldwide because of how let's just say Bret Hart, he had such good fans in Canada that the rest of the world saw those fans in Canada cheering for him, and they took note and they copied it because he was that good. And that's like I say, dude, if I lost, what do I have to lose? Nothing. And CM Punk's the only one that's going to benefit from it more than me getting a check, but at least he gets the fight he's supposed to get. And I haven't seen him fight, and I haven't heard that he's going to fight soon. So I'm wondering again, can I do something in my 5 minutes to try to reach out to the world? And you guys have the most hits out of all the different podcasts I do. So I wanted to make sure specifically with you guys to be like, Teddy Hart wants to call a fight out. I want to call shit still, but I want to do it in a way where guys go, you know what, Floyd Mayweather did it in a classy way, but he made Vegas $100 million profit. Can I be that guy, the guy that Tupac tried to be in rap before guys realized all he was doing was bringing attention to all the guys he thought were good? He wasn't saying Mobb Deep sucked. He was saying Mobb Deep, and then people listened to it. He didn't say Biggie sucked. He said this, and then people listened to it. He got every single person to listen to the other guy, his enemy, talking that gangster rap. It's like me trying to call out guys in the past in wrestling, and then they say it's a shoot. Ted's an asshole. He's alienating all these guys. Like, guys, how can we all be friends who knows what we're doing behind the scenes, but you got to keep some level of kayfabe on that. At least I'm the guy that's enemies with everybody, but still can give a guy a compliment if it's due. I'd love to kick AJ Styles' ass, but he's one of the greatest wrestlers to ever be on the planet Earth, by far. And if I should be able to say that and then say something like I still want to fight with him, I think I'm better than him, though. I think I could beat him. And that's my confidence, and that's Teddy Hart. That's me trying to be someone that you're going to watch and go, you know what, I like the guy. He still says what he's got to say, but he's done it in a better way now. And he gets to say more now because he's not saying certain things that cause people to stop listening, if that makes sense to you guys.
Now, when you say AJ Styles, do you mean just because of where he is in WWE, or is there something with you guys?
No, I just thought AJ Styles was another guy that was extremely successful and smart in the wrestling business, but avoided any kind of real competition with me or matches with me based on competition of there's not a lot of guys on the planet Earth that do what AJ Styles does, but Teddy Hart was one of the guys that did as much as AJ Styles or more. And I never got a chance to be on that stage because guys like AJ Styles, I believe, it's just a little bit of politics behind the scenes of like, he might say I'm a good wrestler, but he's not behind the scenes pushing for me to get any kind of job. And maybe he will in the future when he becomes more familiar with me or more familiar with my friends or my style or more, maybe even such as where the trust issue for Teddy Hart changes. Guys start to trust me. They get to know me more. I spend more time on the road working with guys. And again, hopefully it's like one of those things where you guys, AJ Styles is another guy that's done phenomenal things with his life, and his future is now looking unbelievable. So if I can copy AJ Styles and go, listen, AJ ended up being in WWE someday after no one thought he was ever going to make it there. He went to New Japan, broke all the records, had the best matches I've seen anybody have with New Japan guys in years, singles matches in a heavyweight category. So those are things that I'd like to say, like, that guy's the man for doing that. Those are things I never got to do, and I don't know if I could do. I never had a chance to do them. But my future's where I want to talk about is like AJ Styles is a guy that if I can pattern my life after his life, then I can copy some of the things he did, and that's being smart and being a diplomat and making matches happen and not getting injured. All those years he lasted without getting hurt. That's a testament to the guy, the training, the mark of the man, and the medal that again, Kurt Angle, Bret Hart, Benoit, Eddie Guerrero, Rey Mysterio Jr., all those guys have a tenacity and toughness to just keep coming back. Jushin Liger, all those kind of guys. So he has that kind of respect for me because I've never seen him quit. And every time I see him in the ring, he has a great match. It doesn't change the controversy that I want to have a match with him, or I think I could do it better than him.
When was the last time you've been in negotiations or talks with a WWE, TNA, Ring of Honor, AAA, New Japan, anybody like that of that nature?
AAA, I'm in ongoing talks with CMLL. I was in negotiations with. It's just the charges kept me in limbo. So now they're gone. So now I have a couple options. New Japan is an option. I hope it stays open. It was just a matter of being serious and wanting to go down there and trying to cut down on my pot. So when I went there, I wasn't smoking so much because it's a big deal. You don't want to get caught smoking in Japan. And you don't want it to be where it's such an addicting thing where you can't sleep at night. And sometimes in the past, the pots really had me. I have an addictive personality. It's why I never got into hard drugs. It was really smart just to, like I say, with the pot. You could tell the type of personality just from pot that I was going to be a problem with other things. So I use the pot as a shield, but at the same time, it's not legal in certain areas, and it stinks. So you got to be careful. And my cousin Harry's straight edge. He doesn't have any addictions at all. He might drink a beer or something. He's never touched a drug in his life. So he doesn't need me to go down there and potentially get caught with marijuana or something happen at the border or who knows. And that was his risk. He just said, if you can assure me that you're not going to smoke, then we could try to work an angle where maybe you get to go to Noah. And if you do well there, then we can move you over to New Japan and see how you do there. But I'm not a big fan of 14, 15, 20-hour airplane rides. I'd rather go to Mexico for a 3-hour airplane ride. I'm more familiar with the food. I'm more familiar with the people. So it's one of those things where for the extra money I make in Japan, a lot of the travel, though. And the style is a lot harder over there. The matches are a little harder to do. Mexican wrestling is usually like 6-man, 8-man, 10-man, and mixed tags with girls, too, sometimes. And a lot of comedy matches, and that stuff's really good and fun and easy on your body, and you get a lot of time to kind of to rest in between your TVs, because TV's once a week. So I preferred to go back to Mexico, and then the negotiations started with AAA maybe 1 month ago, and they're going extremely well from what I can see. Just a matter of getting down there into Mexico City and sitting with the mother and Dorian and getting some more gear made from Bucio. Try to have some of the nicest gear in wrestling and designing some new gear, some new track suits, some new body armor, where I'm trying to get like a company to actually make like Under Armour type of equipment, not the Under Armour company, but like actual armor for your body, like, underneath stuff that you can wear. Pressure. What are the suits called? The
Compression.
Yeah, compression suits. Yeah, compression suits, and to see if we can have stuff that maybe protects your hips a little more, protects your ass and tailbone. My friend broke his tailbone recently on a pile driver. I'm hoping maybe something that's actually built into the shorts that allows you some spring. So when I land on my ass for a leg drop or a pile driver or any kind of bump like that, there's some kind of cushioning that allows my spine to be braced. That's built into the shorts maybe. And we're looking into this. It's just the beginning of where hockey equipment started somewhere. Same with the basketball shoe, and then you look at the evolution of it, or the hockey skate, or the football helmet, for instance. Like, how much better is the football helmet now than it was 20 years ago? Wrestling.
I remember Chris Jericho saying that he patted his ass when he used to take bumps in wrestling school. Even like he said he stuffed cotton down there.
Yeah, he's so smart, Jericho. He found a lot of little tricks, like I'm sure, to get away with stuff. I was just talking to him about working in the dungeon and like the extent of his training and all the different things he'd been through. And one of the bumps he took on the Frankensteiner off the top when both guys were on the top, and he almost broke his neck. And just how like crazy the risks wrestlers take are, and there's no equipment that helps us do anything. Like, we're wearing wrist guards and little thin knee pads. Like, is there a hydraulic knee pad I can put with a pump in it that fills up with air and covers the back of my knees and like my tendons? And like, is there something I could put on my hand for like a glove that lets me lift more? Or like a squatting suit where I'm wearing like a squatting suit, but I can put like a 600 guy on my back, and the squatting suit helps me move a little bit. Like, or for instance, can I tighten up my suit so I can have a suit that's like on, but then if I turn up the magnet in the suit, all of a sudden the suit's got way more tension in it. So when I do pick a guy up who's 600 pounds, the suit's flexes based on magnets or something. I mean, like, technology's technology. We have an airplane flying in the fucking sky. I don't know how it works. We got people curing cancer. I don't know how an iPad sends an information to another. I don't know how Bluetooth works, but it's fucking working. I'm watching it. So I'm just hoping somebody catches on that wrestling is an international sport. Boys and girls, fat guys, skinny guys, giants, midgets, everyone's included in it. So it's for earthlings, which is humans. And if humans can't understand that we need equipment to protect ourselves from getting in trouble, it's like we're not two bears playing in the forest anymore. We've evolved past that. Wrestling's not two guys grappling anymore. We know it's a work. We know it's a show. We want to be entertained. Give me equipment that lets me jump higher. If any sport should be allowed to take steroids and take performance-enhancing equipment, it's like a race car. The faster the race car can go, the more entertaining it is for NASCAR. So if NASCAR is not real because no one's gambling on it, then it doesn't matter if the fucking car could shoot a bullet and it shoots like Mario Kart all of a sudden. It throws a fucking banana peel out the thing. It's entertaining. It's like we're playing a video game. Wrestling's a video game. So if I want to cheat because I spent $1,000 on a pair of shoes and they make me jump 20 feet, no one else has the shoes, then fucking allow Vince to buy the shoes for every single guy if he wants every guy to be the same kind of guy. But in wrestling, it's like there's no rules and there's no reason not to cheat. If you're not trying, you're not cheating in my eyes. And cheating means just trying to change the ring, trying to change the surface, trying to make trampolines come out. All the technologically advanced ideas I had, I think more and more you'll see them, like the cage of death or whatever, the hell in the cell. You add trampolines to the hell in the cell, nothing else changes. Just add trampolines to it, and I bet it makes the match more entertaining. Add a different turnbuckle, add a fourth rope. You have to actually put the fourth rope on, or you have to apply it. But you tell me how to change a sport that's been doing the same old fucking body slam for 50, 60 years. I've seen the same suplex. What's different? And what are the guys talking about now? Ricochet, Will Ospreay. Why? Timing, choreographing, and athletic ability, and the risk of how close they could have came to dying. And that's what sold it to the world as being so cool.
So do you follow the WWE product at all?
No, not really. I like to watch. I like to watch it when I can, but I travel so much, guys, setting up all these different businesses, and I train with cops a lot. And we're traveling. We're trying to meet different guys that are in the police that are off duty for that day, get some special training in with them, or go fire some guns with them. I'm trying to get into more We're trying to get a concealed weapons permit so I can start using a gun more and firing a gun more, just so I have more in common with all the video game guys and all the guys that love guns, because America has guns. I've never had a gun. I've never needed a gun. I'm not bringing a gun around to be tough. It's more like I didn't realize how much time and money and effort went into the technology of a gun and how advanced it is now. It's like Shawn Michaels, everyone here, he's a hunter, and they think it's a bad thing. And it's like, I don't think it's a bad thing that he's hunting. He probably appreciates animals more now that he's hunting. I mean, he probably gives money to game farms and stuff like that to preserve the wildlife so he can continue to hunt, or his kids can hunt in the future. Because if you kill all the animals and you're dumb, then you don't understand hunting something you want to pass on. I don't condone hunting so much as I condone eating elk or deer. So if it's the fact that Shawn Michaels is promoting people to eat a healthier meat than a cow that's sitting there grazing all day, a deer is a much more active meat, and it's supposed to be better for humans to eat this. I'm not against it. And again, it goes to the checking into what a guy really stands for. And again, sometimes you hear something this and you take the wrong impression on it, and it's not really what it was. It's not that Shawn Michaels is out there murdering a whole bunch of animals and has a fun time being a killer now. Shawn Michaels found something to do that's peaceful. He sits on in a tree hanging out with his best friend in the world, and he goes hunts, and he takes very good pride in the animal, eats all the meat that he hunts, and he puts the head on the wall and keeps it as a souvenir. To me, 20 years ago, I would have been appalled hearing that. But then you start to get the understanding of why and how he works or where his mind's at, and you don't make those decisions on people anymore just based on one bit of information. I tell the rest of the world, just don't base something on me on one thing you heard or one thing you've seen. Go on a much bigger picture, and you'll have a better understanding of me, and I'll have a better understanding of you, if that makes sense. Again, I'm all over the place, guys. Again, apologize. I hope it makes sense to you.
Yeah, absolutely, no worries. And kind of on that same track, you run a medical dispensary, right, in Calgary?
Yeah, we do. It's called 420consulting.ca. And basically what it is it's a consulting company for people that want to get a medical marijuana license federally. They need to go through a doctor on Skype, and this doctor is I guess he's a naturopath and a neurologist, I think, and maybe an endocrinologist. I think he has to have a couple of different degrees. I don't know exactly what his credentials are. I just know that he's one of the 10 doctors that we went to extreme expense and just a lot of referrals trying to find which one was the best and which one was the one the government wanted to use. So they gave us a list of 10 guys, and on that 10, we got 2 of the doctors to agree to become, I guess, part of this company. And through Skype, we provide a federal license for you to smoke at any dispensary in Canada that has medical marijuana accessible. So if you're in Saskatchewan or you're in Manitoba or you're in Montreal or Toronto, federally now you've been given a license to buy marijuana products from any dispensary that's Canada Health, because all the dispensaries are run by the government. They're all Canada Health, right? So they're run by the government. You have to get permission from a doctor that's recognized by the government, and if he recognizes it, he gives you a prescription for basically like $160. You get a referral fee. You get some kind of coaching on what to say and what to do on the phone. You get two different interviews with your doctor, and you should have your medical marijuana clearance within 7 days. And that's what our company does. We allow you to basically do that, and then we provide you all the information you need after that. Once a certain law passed, I think in August, patients that have medical marijuana cards then are allowed to potentially grow, or they have to go to a co-op where they have a warehouse and they work with a group of other people, and they would then grow like 5 or 6 different people would all grow together to supply an amount of pot for a dispensary. The dispensary would be from Canada Health with all these people that we got through Skype that wanted to get their cards. So if we got 150 people their cards, we'd have to increase our marijuana production level, and then we'd have to go to get a separate permit from the government. Both permits are done through the same company, but one permit's not accessible until after August because of Canadian law. The only one that we can do is the one for personal use. Anyone that's growing has to go under a different policy. So I hope that kind of covers it a little bit again, because I'm just new to this business. It's just what we got into in the last basically month. Dispensaries are businesses I've had in California, in Washington, and due to taxes and different things, I don't say my name on anything I do. The medical marijuana business to me is still in a gray area. I don't trust the law. I don't trust legislation on not coming back and trying to get people in shit for stuff they did in the past, or going back and changing the way things were, because laws sometimes can be changed, and I'd rather just not be involved with having certain titles on things. But it doesn't change the fact that I was producing and making and helping with marijuana for the last 15 years. It's been my life mission, right, to get it into the wrestling world and to get rid of heroin and cocaine and opiates, and marijuana is a much better high for all those things. It's better to stay up. It's better to sleep. You have better sex on it, and you eat better, and things taste better, and things smell better, and the world looks like a happier place to me when people are on marijuana or completely sober. That's what I sell.
Now on that, recently China died, Prince died. You hear about, all these celebrities that die, and it's usually prescription medication. And I live in Colorado, where marijuana was legalized. From someone who have you done pain pills before?
Never.
I guess my question would be what the difference is in after a match or with when you have an injury with using marijuana as opposed to pain pills, and if marijuana
tell you because I've watched 9 of my friends.
Yeah.
Let you finish. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I thought you were asking me, could I tell the difference, even though I haven't taken pills, and what the difference of pills and marijuana would be. I have, because I tried a Soma one time 8 years ago. I tried a Soma, and it had the exact reverse reaction of what it was supposed to have. It made my body go into a really tight spasm, and my whole back spasmed up, and I ended up having to go to the hospital because I couldn't walk. And I remember hearing Davey Boy Smith's voice in my head saying, don't take fucking Somas. If you didn't learn anything from my life and all the great stuff I did and some of the mistakes I made, then you're truly a moron, and you don't deserve to have this opportunity in wrestling. A lot of the guys died for you to give you information that you need to be successful in the future. And if you missed it because of how dumb you are or because you're high, then you're smoking the wrong kind of weed and you're the wrong kind of guy. And I thought to myself sitting in the hospital in the waiting room, waiting how dumb I was, knowing that Somas were a drug that I was told killed more wrestlers than anyone, and even family members. And they had an excuse to take it. Davey Boy Smith was in a huge car accident. Same with Chris Benoit. Same with the 2 other guys. They should have died. Their backs were messed up. Davey Boy Smith had a legit injury from WCW. The trap door was broken, and it did mess up his back. It doesn't completely give him an excuse to take pills, but he wasn't some guy that was taking pills when he was a kid. He was totally against drugs for all those years. He wasn't doing anything. And then later, with injury, marijuana stinks. It's hard to get, and you can't get it everywhere. But a pill is universal. You can get the pill anywhere. It's standard, and it's legal. You walk around with pills, people think it's normal. You walk around with a bag of weed. You can ask Kurt Angle 10 years ago. He didn't want to be in the same room as me. But it's how life is.
Now, do you have any
change the way the world looks at it now? And pills, sorry.
No, do you think that if I don't want to say more prevalent because I know there are plenty of wrestlers who use it. Do you think that would help combat the use of pain pills if it were?
Remember we talked about this? We wanted to do a whole show on would wrestling be a better world if it was marijuana instead of opiates? Absolutely. Would there be less death? Absolutely. Would there be guys should be allowed to take steroids in wrestling and guys should be allowed to fucking smoke marijuana in wrestling? That's a complete bullshit. It's hypocrisy. Why wouldn't you be allowed to take a supplement that helps heal your body when you're doing a sport that has no off season? Every sport has an off season. Wrestling does not. You should be allowed to smoke pot to keep cortisol levels down. All guys do is smoke pot and play video games and go to the gym. So let the guys that want to do that smoke pot. It's not going to hurt anybody. Edibles would even be better. Optionals is cookies. You know what I mean? Maybe they can't smoke it because smoking's hard on their lungs, but they could definitely take it. It would also keep cancer down. What's all these wrestlers dying of if they did make it? As long as they did, they're dying of cancer in the future. Because of the diet and because of the headache of drinking alcohol and taking pills. And smoking cigarettes. A lot of wrestlers smoke cigarettes because they can't smoke weed.
Yeah.
You know, it's just Triple H. Triple H should be the one that goes. If Triple H is really about the boys, which I still question, and this is a shout out man to man. If you really do, if you're as cool as I think you are, and this is a compliment to you, or a straight out fuck you, just take it as what it is. And you don't have any reason to fear or give a shit about homeless Teddy Hart or whatever I am. But I'm still going to say what I got to say. Stephanie McMahon and Triple H are like the mother and father of every wrestler in the business. They're the ones that control everything. If my mom and dad are going to let me take pills and snort cocaine and be a drunk, rather than giving me the option of saying, okay, no piss test for marijuana, but we're going to change the piss test for guys that want to do coke and take pills. And if you're caught taking pills or doing cocaine, you're automatically sent to rehab. But there should be no way that I spend money every month like poor Randy Orton would have to if he wanted to smoke pot, or Spanky would have had to, or Matt Sydal would have had to. They would have had to pay like a $1,200 a month fine or whatever it would be, like a $24,000 a year penalty to smoke pot. And then they'd have to worry about getting a prescription from every single doctor in every single state that they were wrestling in. Where if the company made it where it's like legal and the doctors, WWE has enough money and the doctors, I think just on an international level of sports. And I think the NBA, I don't really think they're busting guys for smoking weed. I don't think the NFL is busting guys for smoking weed. I don't think a bunch of hockey players on the off season are getting in shit for smoking weed. But somehow wrestlers are. And they're fired for it, or they're not given a job, or they're never ever even considered because they're potheads, or they don't want to get into wrestling because they were smoking pot and they can't get off pot to get into other things because it wouldn't be smart for their future or their kids. So it's like my parents are Triple H and Stephanie McMahon. You guys think about what makes the business better, and if you think it's pills, alcohol, and coke, then you guys truly don't give a shit about the business at all. You care about nothing more than making some money quick, and then after that, the money will be faded because all the guys you guys put money into will all be on pills in the future. Is Neville taking pills to recover from his leg pain? He broke his ankle. Is he having to take pills? I know Tyson Kidd wouldn't take a fucking pill. That guy's tougher than nails. He's not smoking pot either. But there's like 1% of the world that's Tyson Kidd. The rest of the world, you get hurt, you do what the doctor says. What's the doctor tell you to take when you get hurt?
Right.
Yeah.
Fucking pills.
Yeah.
Right?
You get prescribed something. Oh, yeah.
You couldn't have prescribed marijuana.
A toothache.
Definitely not
Toothache, you get.
marijuana.
Right.
You get prescribed
You
pills.
mentioned
It's
Tyson.
some bullshit name of some kind of pill that I've never fucking heard of, that I know no monkey's been testing for 10 years. No one knows what the side effects are. Then if I watch an infomercial on it like 1 a.m, it tells me about all these new pills. But if you take this pill and you suffer from any one of these other things, the pill just gave you 19 different problems. You cured one problem of diarrhea. Sure, fuck, but I got hemorrhoids now. My nose is bleeding and I got asthma. And now I have a fucking leaky bowel because of this pill I took, this unbelievable experimental pill that some pharmacist said, I don't want a drug dealer making more money than me driving a Ferrari. So cut the drug dealers out. We'll buy all the drugs. They can make prescription cocaine in a lab. They have pills made in, everything's made in a lab now. The only thing I can't make in a lab is fucking Mother Nature. And that's pussy and weed. And those are 2 things I prefer to eat. As much pussy as possible and lick as much pussy and love as much pussy as possible. Nothing wrong with gays or bisexual, but my thing's marijuana and women. And both those things are very hard to reproduce or clone. They have to come from a natural source, if you know what I mean. So that's what I like to keep it clean with, is the women and the weed. So
You mentioned Tyson Kidd. Do you know anything about like how his recovery's gone? Is there any chance of him returning to the ring, or is that just off the table?
You know what, guys? He's such a strong guy, and he's in such good shape because he just never stops training. But the doctors, from what I've heard, he was never supposed to walk, guys. And the WWE,
I heard he was lucky to live.
Dude, lucky to live is a small thing. Lucky to be walking, let alone lucky to be able to kind of do certain things. I don't think his life will fully ever be the same. He talks about having not anxiety. Like if he's driving down the street and a car hits him from behind, even at like 20 kilometers an hour, his neck's decapitated, his neck's not healed, he breaks his neck again. He's walking down the street, he slips and falls, somebody bumps him, it could just jar his neck again for life, you know what I mean? So it's like, imagine the uncertainty of walking around not knowing if you're ever safe, and you might turn your head the wrong way all of a sudden and your neck kinks out and you're not moving ever again, like Pero Aguayo Jr. No one knows what happened. It was an internal decapitation. So it was like what happened to TJ minus 1 inch. And I'm not a doctor, and I don't want to say anything because it might be detrimental, something I say that could be used against me or him later in a court of law, because I think he's going to court and I guess WWE would have definitely an issue of maybe a dangerous workplace, an unsafe work environment, or whatever it would be. I don't know how it works. I don't really want to touch on it too much more than that. His recovery has gone extremely well, but recovering to do what? To sit in his house and play video games for the rest of his life? You took one of the greatest wrestlers ever, right when you finally started to use him right. Better than Benoit, for sure. I thought a lot better than what Benoit would have been. Like, you never let Tyson Kidd grow. He was just starting to grow and get really big and muscular and beautiful, good-looking, nice smile, and very fun and easy to work with, and all the guys loved him, and he's fucking a genius. He's one of your agents. He's like best friends with Johnny Ace, because Johnny Ace is a smart, cutthroat motherfucker, and he knew Tyson Kidd got a shitty set of cards for fucking 7 or 8 years up there, but he never said anything more than, hey, that guy in the ring needs to learn how to fucking work. And he'd tell every guy in the back who was good and who wasn't, including Cena. And when Cena really got good, it's because I think guys like Tyson Kidd were in that company, and John Cena wanted to impress them. Because you can be friends with a guy, but it doesn't matter how much money you have after you're friends for a while. It just matters if you're friends. And if you're friends because you respect the guy's ability, then you might take a page out of Tyson Kidd's book, or Dean Malenko's book, or Fit Finley's book, or Jamie Noble's book, and learn how to wrestle properly. And that's from watching and copying other great wrestlers. And if you didn't know how to do that, then you definitely know how to push fucking play on a video on YouTube and watch somebody else. And Tyson Kidd's that guy. He's the measuring stick. If you guys can't figure out to have him in your company as an agent and give him the money that you rightfully should be giving him through an insurance policy that costs you fucking nothing anyway. You guys broke his neck, and you guys cost him his career, and you guys cost yourselves one of the greatest wrestlers ever. And I still think down the road, you might see Tyson Kidd in a ring doing something like a manager or like a Vince McMahon character. The guy's been extremely smart with his money. I would bet he's a multimillionaire already, and a very smart dude, and buying businesses and buying different things up while he has the money and the time. And you'll see him around in wrestling somewhere because he loves the business, he loves the athletics, and he loves the other people in it, the students. He's a big guy in believing and watering the seed and painting, I guess, putting it forward. So he would paint a path so guys like him in the future are protected, so they don't have that same thing happen to them, where you're not quite appreciated for all the sacrificial stuff you did. Being a good guy sometimes it gets you finishing in a position that's not first, and that's sad in the wrestling world.
Now, we're going to have to be wrapping this up soon. I want to thank you again for joining us. I did want to ask you, now in NXT, you got the smaller guys just tearing it up. You see a lot more of that athletic style, basically the style that you've been doing your whole career, really taking prominence in WWE. Do you think, is the door closed with WWE, or how did things leave off?
No, I just don't want to go to WWE for the money that I thought I was deserving to get, and for the money that they were willing to pay at the time. It wasn't really close. My dream is to go to train for another year or two, then go back to Triple H with a business plan of the World Cup of Wrestling, where it's basically my guys from AAA, the best guys from New Japan, the best guys from TNA, the best guys from Ring of Honor, Lucha Underground. You put together an international roster of guys, and then you create like countries. And you have like an Olympics of wrestling where it's like a 3-day weekend in Mexico City, like a World Cup. And it's a big tournament for tag team matches, trios matches, singles matches, and mixed tag matches, all the way up to like a 10-man tournament where it's like the 5-on-5, the 5 best guys from one team versus another team, Team Russia versus Team Canada, or if it's Team Guerrero versus Team Triple H versus, and maybe Triple H could pick guys that are not in WWE. Like it's an open draft. Like for this one weekend, everybody's a free agent, and Kevin Nash is one judge. Shawn Michaels is another guy. Godfather's another guy. Undertaker's another guy. Bret Hart's another guy, and they all pick their best 10 guys, and then they have like an Olympic team, and then it's like at the end of the race, you can do like a moonsault competition. Who has the highest moonsault? Who hits the cleanest shooting star? Who punches the hardest in wrestling, or who has the most accurate punch in wrestling? Who has the best kicks in wrestling? Like, make it a competition. Like the NBA's got a slam dunk competition. Wrestling does not have a skills competition for anything. Make an all-star weekend for wrestling to have a skills competition, and a once every 4 years World Cup of Wrestling, where guys from other companies get to work guys from other companies. And if you got to do a best out of 3, you win one, I win one, and the fans decide on a vote on who wins the third one. And that's done online, or it's done over the fucking over the phones live in the building. That type of stuff where it's interactive. The fans get to choose. They all vote. Fucking Triple H is over. His team's over because they thought it was more entertaining. And 30,000 people in the building all for $1 download the app, and they all vote. Team Triple H is up. Whatever finish we choose, we choose. I mean, wrestling's that interactive, and you can control it that much. So, I mean, that would be my dream, is to always be in WWE, guys, but to be there prepared, to be there looking good, to never have another problem where they go, Teddy Hart missed the fucking show, or the guy's an idiot, or he wasn't organized. I want it to be where I made the money, I saved a little bit of little bit of time left in my career. I got the international fans of the world to still see me, and that's up to Triple H and Stephanie and people they have in their company if they can trust me in the future. And that's my ongoing battle, guys. Battle with myself all the time of just being more responsible, getting up in the morning, eating, sleeping, and training, and getting a body that I can look in the mirror and go, this body can take me to WWE, and I can handle a schedule that basically killed every other wrestler I've ever seen come up and go, destroyed them. And I don't want to be a guy that's had 9 surgeries and 4 broken necks or a blown knee or anything. Right now I've had no injuries, no surgeries. I've been very safe and very smart, even though I've looked ridiculous on highlight reels. I've done it with a plan. I take a lot of time off before shows to heal. And the same thing goes into the future. If I take my bookings and I'm smart, I hope I'm in shape where the WWE and the world of wrestling wants to see me there, and Vince McMahon's still alive and healthy, and he can take advantage of a guy that thought he was one of the smartest people on the planet and a great promoter. And a big fan of my grandfather's, and my grandfather, vice versa, love Vince McMahon. And the McMahon family, again, thank you for making wrestling what it is, because it's setting a precedent that wrestling is considered a worldwide respected sport, and it's because of the money they put into it on the media and technology end of it. So pay-per-views, WWE Network, all that stuff, that all came from Vince's ideas, and wrestling has followed suit with all the podcasts, and now with all the stuff you can subscribe to on the internet. Wrestling is like so easy to get access to now and get to watch the best guys in the world. That's all I ever asked the people in power to do, is at least give us accessibility. So if you want to watch it, you can. And sorry for rambling on, guys. Really appreciate your time. If there's anything else you guys want to ask me before I take a breath and breathe.
Yeah, actually, I did want to ask you, what about the New Japan, Lucha Underground, ROH, TNA? Are any of those options that also interest you?
Lucha Underground for sure. Ring of Honor, I was in talks with a couple guys in Ring of Honor, but again, same thing. They said we need to know the definitive answer on the charges. Colt Cabana was trying to get me in. Young Bucks were very nice to me. Alex Shelley, Chris Sabin were good to me. Jay Lethal's good to me. All friends of mine. The guys I've worked with in the past, had great matches with, no problems ever, not a crossword. Just a matter of if you're going to show up and be reliable. We don't mind vouching for you, but don't let us down. And I wouldn't ask them to if I wasn't serious. And I haven't asked any of them to actually get me a job besides Colt Cabana. He's the only guy. Same with Jericho. I said, please, Chris, if there's a day in the world, if there's a time and day where I'm ready and I can ask you, would you at least walk me into a meeting with them? And Chris Jericho said again, talk is cheap. Show me something, and I'm watching you, and I'm here to watch you. And he came all the way to my house to watch me for a podcast, to watch me and sit with me for a podcast that we very easily could have done over the phone. And I thought that was flattering of him. And he was the only guy to ever get me into WWE before guys. So, I mean, there's a chance if guys like Jericho are willing to sit with me, or Nash is willing to walk with me and try to get me a job, they vouch for me. They kind of take some responsibility that I'm not going to fuck up. And that's a big thing to ask other guys to do, and especially with being honest about yourself. Teddy Hart's created we'll say like a weird enigma around himself, and now it's a matter of becoming reliable and trustworthy. And that's it. That's like having shitty credit at the bank, guys. You know, I have shitty credit with the bank, so the bank has to reestablish my credit and my trust, and making small payments monthly like I've been doing for the last 5 years to try to rebuild my credit. That's all I can do with the wrestling world, is just try to rebuild my credibility with the guys or promoters or fans, or shut a lot of fans up, or promoters or guys up that are just scared. And just say, just let me have one match. And if I fuck up, then I'm gone. But if I don't fuck up, then give me another match after that, and let the people get to see if I truly was one of the greatest wrestlers in the world that has been overlooked based on behavior and attitude that changes like the weather.